tackle the persistent security challenges in the country. Speaking during a media briefing as part of activities to mark a special church service in Lafia, the Nasarawa state capital, Bishop Ajang said the recurring incidents of kidnapping, banditry and violent attacks on communities demand proactive response from free politics and sentiments. He expressed concern that many Nigerians live in fear as insecurity continues to claim lives, destroy property and worsen the nation's economic hardship. Bishop Ajang stressed that leaders must place less emphasis on politics and instead uphold the constitutional mandate of governance, ensuring citizens' welfare, protecting human rights and safeguarding lives and property at all times. The bishop further urged leaders of all levels to prioritize children's education and strengthen measures to protect schools nationwide. The House of Representatives has expressed commitment to collaborate with the Nigeria Union of Journalists, NUJ, and other key stakeholders to rebuild public trust and ensure that the needs and aspirations of citizens are reflected in governance. The Speaker, House of Representatives, Dr. Tajuddin Abbas, stated this during the one-year anniversary celebration of the Comrade Grace Ike-led Executive Council of the NUJ FCD chapter, held alongside the groundbreaking ceremony for the remodeling of the Council Hall in Abuja. Dr. Abbas, represented by the House spokesperson, Mr. Akin Rotimi, described journalists as indispensable partner in democratic governance, stressing that the nation's democracy is dependent on the integrity, courage, and professionalism of the press. The Speaker recognized Grace, that is Comrade Grace Ike, as a force who had elevated journalistic standards and strengthened the relationship between the media and national institutions. In her one-year performance review, Comrade Grace Ike outlined major reforms, including enhanced professional training, the creation of press clubs in secondary schools, and annual capacity building for information officers. Governor Nasir Idris of Kebbi State has approved a loan of 10 billion naira to the State Pilgrims Welfare Agency for the procurement of 1,300 additional Hajj seats from the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, NACON. The executive chairman of the agency, Alhaji Farouk Yaro, confirmed this at a news briefing in Birni Kebbi, the state capital. Alhaji Farouk said the decisive action had enabled the state to beat the payment deadline, which closed on Friday, 5th December 2025. He said NACON allocated 3,300 Hajj seats to Kebbi State for the 2026 Hajj, but only 2,110 intended pilgrims were able to complete their payments before the official deadline, helping to prevent the forfeiture of the remaining seats. Alhaji Farouk explained that NACON had released the schedule for the 2026 Hajj operations, with the inaugural flight from Nigeria set for 3rd May 2026. The chairman cautioned intended pilgrims to familiarize themselves with the new guidelines issued by NACON and the Saudi Ministry of Hajj and Umrah, adding that compulsory medical screening will be conducted to ensure pilgrims were free of 9 specific ailments. Meanwhile, the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, NACON, says it will continue to respond to changes in the operation of Hajj exercise and educate pilgrims accordingly. A statement by NACON's Deputy Director, Information and Public Relations, Fatima Sanda Usara, says the Commission is working to digitize travel arrangements, one of which is the uploading of pre-arrival data on the Nusuk Masar platform 72 hours before departure of any aircraft conveying pilgrims. It emphasizes that the data include group numbers, names of group members, accommodation details, buildings assigned, and bed space number. Similarly, the Saudi Arabia of Hajj, that is Saudi Ministry of Hajj and Umrah, this year introduced a boarding card to be issued to each pilgrims before departure. The card will contain other vital details such as names of state, name of number of pilgrims on board, departure airport, time and destination airport, arrival time and arrival airport. The statement explains that it has concluded its camp booking and other services in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, emphasizing that Saudi Arabia's new medical fitness requirement must be strictly enforced with penalties for defaulting. The statement also cites the chairman of NACON, Professor Abdullahi Usman, has reiterated the need for cooperation between the State Pilgrims Board, airlines, and the Commission, stating that NACON's careful preparations will determine their success.
Radio Nigeria, uplifting the people and uniting the nation.
Ho, ho, ho. It's the
the most wonderful time of the year. Get ready for a special Christmas celebration like no other.
Join us on Sunday, December 7, 2025 at the National Christian Center, Central Business District, Abuja for the FRCN, NTA and Vaughan service of 9 lessons and carols.
Theme of 2025 is
Jesus Our Strength.
With a charge from Reverend Dr. William Okoye.
The service of 9 lessons and carols live on FRCN, NTA and Vaughan. Sunday, December 7, 2025
at 3 p.m. Be there
at the National Christian Center, Central Business District, Abuja.
Don't miss the service of 9 lessons and carols live on FRCN, NTA and Vaughan.
Join us and celebrate the true meaning of Christmas.
NASENI, the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure. NASENI is the only agency of the federal government under the presidency with the mandate to nurture science and engineering infrastructure towards achieving a sustained industrialization for Nigeria. In the past 2 years, the agency has stepped up its research, development, and commercialization drive to become a leading light in the nation's science, technology, and innovation sector with over 35 products made ready for the markets. Join us on Radio Nigeria Network Service every Tuesday from 5:30 to 6 p.m. as we bring to you NASENI's Milestone Radio Program aimed at showcasing laudable achievement of NASENI under the dynamic and innovative Executive Vice Chairman of NASENI, Mr. Khalil Suleiman Halilu. Don't miss it.
Radio Nigeria, uplifting the people and uniting the nation.
The Deputy Executive Director of UN Women, Mrs. Narazai Gumbazvada, says the UN system remains committed to coordinated multi-sectoral action to help Nigeria strengthen gender-based violence prevention, expand women's economic empowerment, as well as advance the women, peace and security agenda. The UN representative, who is on a high-level mission visit to Nigeria, stated this during a news conference at the UN House in Abuja. Ms. Narazai Gumbazvada explained that integrated approaches deliver up to 40% better outcomes than isolated interventions, underscoring the need for stronger joint programming, harmonized advocacy, and shared accountability as part of efforts to support Nigeria.
UN Women is supporting the governments and stakeholders in strengthening the policy frameworks. Violence against women and girls remains pervasive in this country, Nigeria, with the abduction.
UN Women representative to Nigeria and ECOWAS, Beatrice Young, commended Nigeria, that is the Nigerian media, for amplifying women's voices and for continued partnership to support national development priorities.
We consider the media as an extension of UN Women in what we do, because you carry our messages. And I want to thank every media base here. You are contributing your own part to the development of this country. Because in women's empowerment, rights of women, equality, and all what we talk around women and girls, it is actually for all of us.
As part of her visit, the UN Women Deputy Executive Director met with some government officials, National Assembly members, development partners, civil society groups, and private sector leaders. She also visited the Kwali community, UN Women supported wash facilities, and the newly renovated agro-processing center in the FCT. Now to Bauchi, the Nigeria Association of Women Journalists in Award, Bauchi State Chapter, has taken its campaign against gender-based violence, GBV, to the Bauchi State Police Command to strengthen partnership aimed at reducing the menace. The state chairperson of NAWACH, Rashida Yusuf, said the move was also aimed at advancing women's development, safeguarding their rights, and supporting vulnerable groups across the state. Correspondent Al-Hassan Usman completes the report.
Rashida Yusuf expressed readiness to work with the police in strengthening the fight against gender-based violence, particularly violence against women and girls. She said the collaboration is imperative considering the increased wave of gender-based violence among communities, not in the state, but the country at large.
By raising awareness and educating the general public on the importance of digital violence on women, promoting digital safety, behavior and on providing support for survivors and also advocating for change by urging government and technology companies to take action to prevent digital violence and protect women's rights, among other things.
Receiving the delegation, the Commissioner of Police, Sani Omulori Aliyu, said the command remained committed to protecting the rights of women and girls against all forms of GBV. CP Aliyu explained that the command had established a gender unit under the State Criminal Investigation Department, CID, saddled with the responsibility of promptly addressing and investigating offenses related to GBV, assuring continued collaboration with NAWACH. He observed that many victims often remain silent due to stigmatization and socio-cultural norms, stressing the need for increased awareness to encourage survivors to speak out and seek justice.
I want to urge you to feel free with us. Our doors are open 24 hours. You people as an association, you might come across some vital information that will be useful for us, and please do not hesitate to pass such information to us.
The second in command of the Gender Department of the State CID, ASP Alladi Samaila, disclosed that the command had recorded 180 GBV cases between January to date, with most of them already charged to court. He noted that the command previously receiving 4 to 5 cases daily, ranging from rape to domestic violence, and added that the record decline in the number of cases being reported was due to sustained collaboration between the police and stakeholders. In Bauchi, Al-Hassan Usman, Radio Nigeria.
And journalists in Plateau State have been urged to focus their reports on issues that promote peace, especially as the Ultra sets in. The chairman of the Nigeria Union of Journalists in the state, Mrs. Ayuku Paspo, gave the advice during a peace walk for journalists organized by the Correspondents Chapel of the Nigeria Union of Journalists, Plateau State Chapter. Correspondent Josiah Buzun participated in the work and filed this report.
With the theme towards a peaceful Yuletide, the members of the Correspondent Chapel of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, Plateau State, came out in their numbers with huge support from members of other chapels, non-governmental organizations, civil society organizations, and security agencies, among others. The work is the second to be organized by the chapel. The NUJ chairman, Plateau State, Mrs. Ayuku Paspo, noted that as reporters, peace was paramount to them.
Let's do reports that will bring peace and progress to our state. We know that we're in the Ember months, and we hope and pray that this Christmas festivities will be very peaceful.
Chairman of the Correspondent Chapel of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, Plateau State, Polycarp Auta, said the aim is to see that beyond reporting conflicts and security issues, there is the need for journalists to promote peaceful coexistence.
To sensitize people, to tell Plateau people that there is need for us to live in peace, that there is need for us to tolerate each other, that there is need for us to love each other.
Auta emphasized the need for peace, especially as we approach the Yuletide. There were goodwill messages from Nanmak Bali of the Plateau Peace Practitioners Network, the global president of Unijos Alumni Gat Shamaki, Operation Rainbow, represented by Deputy Commissioner of Police Dauda Dambaba, and Ruth Rimwalk of Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps.
This is not just a work for us, but it shows a sign of togetherness here on the plateau.
And I want to thank the journalists on the plateau and Nigeria for ensuring that you're putting this situation out there in the news and putting pressure on stakeholders to respond appropriately so that we can all have a safe environment where we can sleep, do business, and have a better life.
We're here represented and all round the clock to ensure that peace is maintained and sustained on the plateau.
The work stopped intermittently to give talks on the need to live in peace. Others that spoke stressed the need for more of such works to keep journalists fit, considering the nature of their jobs. From Jos, Josiah Buzun, Radio Nigeria.
As the nation is set to commence voting on constitutional amendments, advocacy groups have urged journalists and relevant stakeholders to enlighten Nigerians on the significance of the proposed reserved seats for women at the legislative institutions. At a training organized for the members of the House of Representatives, correspondents by TOS Foundation, the special advisor on legislative matters to the Deputy Speaker, House of Representatives, Dr. Chidozie Aja, encourages journalists to build strong narratives around gender and governance. Dr. Aja, who highlighted the potential impact of the reserved seats for women bill, noted that it will shape the future of women's representation in the legislature.
One per state in the Senate, and that translates into 36 reserved seats. Plus, 1 seat for the Federal Capital Territory, making it 37. And the same number goes for the House of Representatives. At the subnational level, 1 seat per senatorial zone, meaning 3 reserved seats for women in each state House of Assembly. These seats will not be replacing existing seats, but will expand representation to create room for women at the table of decision making.
The executive director of the TOS Foundation, Osazu Igbenidion Goche, who explained the organization's effort in promoting the reserve seat bills, emphasized that the training was part of ongoing initiatives to empower journalists to report more on women's political inclusion.
We've led a delegation to Speaker, Deputy Speaker, who is the sponsor of the bill, and the other co-sponsors like Honorable Akin, Honorable Kafanat. We've gone to the state governors. I was just with Imo State Governor the other day with a delegation from the Secretariat, who said all 27 progressive governors. We've done so much. We've traversed this entire nation. We've consulted widely. No lawmaker can say that they've not heard of this bill. That would be feigned ignorance. We've spoken on television, we've spoken on radio, we've translated this bill to local languages.
A media specialist, Dr. Adora Sidney Jack, urged journalists to avoid stereotypes and focus on balanced and evidence-based storytelling. Participants expressed confidence that the training will deepen understanding and improve their reporting on the reserve seat bills and other related bills that will promote women representation in governance. The member representing Shandam constituency in the Plateau State House of Assembly, Mr. Joseph Bukar, has made a passionate appeal to the people of the state to uphold sincere commitment in addressing the insecurity that had dented the image and economic growth of the state. Speaking with Radio Nigeria in Abuja, Mr. Bukar expressed confidence that the people of the state had the capacity to provide lasting solutions to the lingering insecurity that had stopped farmers from going to their farms. He maintained that the political elite and other stakeholders had all it takes to repair the huge damage caused by years of religious crisis and banditry and return the state to the path of glory.
Over the years, Plateau has become a case study of killings of people that think that they can take people's life and get away with it. And over these years, perhaps we have not been able to catch one and ensure that you send them to court and face the right of the law. But for those ones who are farmers, they cannot go to the farms because they are afraid of being kidnapped. They are afraid of being killed. So you see, the insecurity goes a long way in affecting the entirety of the society.
The lawmaker, while stressing the need to punish those found responsible for the past crisis to serve as a deterrent, maintained that there was need to restore the confidence of investors and the trust among the people of the state.
The issues you find on the plateau, you find them in Kaduna, in Taraba, you find them in Benue. Perhaps maybe the difference in Benue, you have a domineering tribe over the other smaller one. But in plateau, we're in fragments. Maybe you have 1 or 2, 3 tribes that can say they are large. Now, based on that, I think we're growing over time. For us on the plateau, usually when a plateau man believes in you in this shed, whatever you say about this shed, he stands with it.
Mr. Joseph Bukar has assured the people of Shandam State constituency and Plateau State as a whole that legislators that will ensure they play their part in bringing lasting peace to the state and to the country. The Federal Ministry of Education has issued a comprehensive guidance to address widespread inquiries from students, parents, school proprietors, and administrators regarding subject selection under the revised senior secondary school curriculum. A statement from the ministry explains that there is no restriction or exclusion attached to the selection of any approved subject within the senior secondary school curriculum. It emphasizes that all subjects remain fully open for students to choose from, provided such choices are properly guided by the school authority, parents, or a certified school counselor. On the remaining, that is renaming of information and communication technology subject to digital technology, it says that the change is purely a nomenclature and does not alter the curriculum content. On the matter of trade subjects, the ministry explains that 6 trade subjects have been identified and approved under the curriculum, stressing that a student may register for any of the subjects if the school offers them and the student has been taught the subject. However, where a student has not been exposed to or offered any of the 6 trade subjects, there is no obligation for such a student to register for any trade subject as a 3rd subject. The Vice President, Kashim Shettima, says there is a need to strengthen the culture of accountability and proper documentation in the public service to serve as a guide for the future generations. The Vice President made a call at the unveiling of biographies authored by former Inspector General of Police Usman Alkali Baba. Represented by the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abubakar Kyari. The Vice President explained that it was time civil servants departed from what he described as a tradition of silence, which, according to him, had for long hindered national progress.
There is no doubt that we are a nation that has paid dearly for the inadequacy of mentorship. We cannot claim to be a society ready for the future if we do not prepare the younger generation for the tasks ahead. There is no way to achieve this convincingly without documenting our experiences and bringing the next generation close enough to learn the ropes. In leadership, examples are not inherited.
The Vice President lamented the country's enduring struggles with inadequate mentorship, warning that the future will be difficult for the younger generation if not equipped with the experiences of those who came before them.
Public service isn't merely to serve without impact. The greater tragedy is to walk through the corridors of responsibility without leaving behind a record of that journey. For decades, this failure to document our life in office has sabotaged successive generations, forcing each to begin afresh, to search for their bearing through the dark of an unfamiliar terrain.
The author of the book and former Inspector General of Police, retired IGP Usman Alkali Baba, commended President Bola Tinubu for directing the withdrawal of all police personnel attached to VIPs, noting that it will go a long way in helping to tackle kidnapping, banditry, and insurgency. In line with the legacies of the first military governor of the defunct Northern Province, the late General Hassan Katsina, Nigerians have been urged to foster unity and development in the region and the country as a whole. The Director General Center for Democratic Development, Research and Training, Professor Abubakar Siddiq Mohammed, made a call in a lecture delivered to commemorate the General Hassan Katsina Memorial Conference in Kaduna. Daniel Kalmax completes the report.
As the first military governor of the northern provinces, the late General Hassan Katsina expressed deep passion for building the nation on the foundations of honesty and hard work, with a strong commitment to promoting unity among Nigerians regardless of their differences. Unfortunately, these legacies are being eroded today, as many Nigerians are afraid to go to certain parts of the country due to persistent insecurity. Speaking on the theme, Nigeria's socio-economic and security challenges, implications for northern Nigeria, Professor Abubakar Siddiq emphasized the need for Nigerians to embrace unity.
Even in Kaduna here, people are afraid to go to certain parts of Kaduna. This is not the kind of society General Hassan Usman Katsina and people of his generation envisaged. Everyone must realize that we are one nation, irrespective of the tribe from which each of us originates. Not at our present stage of development, we need not to be divided.
Chairman of the Northern Elders Forum, Professor Ango Abdullahi, who described the late general as a prince of peace, work and action, said the conference served as a platform to remind Nigerians of the past, particularly the successes and failures.
So for me, General Hassan Usman did everything possible to make his own contribution to successfully develop Nigeria. We agreed that he had been a rare gift to Nigeria, and we hope we have as many rare gifts as possible like Hassan, and perhaps Nigeria would be better off than it is today.
There were also goodwill messages from the chairman of the organizing committee, General IBM Haruna retired, the chairman both of trustees, New Vision Development Initiative, Colonel Lawan Gwadabe, and the chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sunday Kelvin Aneke, represented.
As the last governor of Northern Nigeria and the third chief of Army Staff, during a critical period in our nation's history, he demonstrated exceptional leadership, unwavering integrity, and a deep commitment to national unity. His dedication and professionalism in the military and his passion for education and youth development continue to inspire generations of service members and civilians alike.
The memorial conference brought together former military head of state, General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, other top military officers, the chairman of the event, Major General PC Terfa, the governors of Kaduna and Katsina states, as well as the emirs of Katsina and Zozo Emirate Council in Kaduna. Daniel Kalmax, Radio Nigeria.
It's already 26 minutes past 7. You're listening to the news on the network service of Radio Nigeria. In the headlines, Nigeria and United Nations collaborate on checking gender-based violence. Ministry of Education issues guidance on subject selection for secondary school students. Still to come, Federal Road Safety Corps begins free medical tests for commercial drivers. Correspondent assesses Nigeria's contribution to aviation as World Marks Day. Plus, State House Diary, sports news, commentary, Cyberscope, newspaper headlines, and weather report. Remain with us.
Radio Nigeria, uplifting the people and uniting the nation.
The need to strengthen protection for women dominates this year's 16 days of activism, focusing on digital violence against women. On Eagle Square, the Radio Nigeria Public Accountability Program, this Monday at 7:30 in the evening, Teso Zambe engages the acting deputy country representative, UN Women, Mrs. Peyton Tekoba, on the campaign.
We need to actually have a very strong safeguarding policy in place and laws to protect these women. The election is by the corner, and we know that a lot of women are going to be harassed. A lot of women are going to be dragged to the media.
Join the conversation on the network service of Radio Nigeria this Monday at 7:30 in the evening on Eagle Square, where only the truth is good enough.
Radio Nigeria, uplifting the people and uniting the nation.
Nigeria is rated to be occupying the back seat in research financing, which raises concerns over the inability for the Nigerian Institute of Medical Research, NIMR, Lagos, to generate homegrown solutions to pressing health challenges. The chairman of the NIMR Foundation, Board of Trustees, and former governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, made the assertion during the November edition of the Institute's monthly media chart in Lagos. Correspondent Julie Ekong completes the report.
Here in Nigeria, the celebration comes just days after the country marked 100 years of civil aviation.
Mr. Babatunde Fashola described research as not just an academic exercise, but a foundation of life-changing discoveries, but expressed dismay that despite its importance, it has not received the level of attention and funding enjoyed by its counterparts in India, South Africa, the United States, and the United Kingdom.
Ordinarily, the responsibility for funding NIMR should be the responsibility of the federal government. The reason why we come to you is to help in messaging the consciousness of our nation about the importance of investing in research.
A veteran broadcaster and a member of the Foundation Board of Trustees, NIMR, Chief Mojima Konjola, described the media as a bridge between science and society and urged journalists to simplify technical information without distortion, pointing out that clear communication is essential amid Nigeria's ongoing battles with disease outbreaks, poor health literacy, and rapid technological change.
Media platforms expand the reach of scientific findings beyond academic audiences. This strengthens visibility for NIMR's work and boosts national awareness of critical health issues.
The Director General NIMR, Professor John Obafunwa, outlined the Institute's main constraints to include gaps in human capital and long-term capacity development. According to him, while infrastructure can be funded, building scientific talent requires fellowships, postdoctoral programs, and strategic partnerships with international and domestic stakeholders.
Physical infrastructure can be addressed with funding, but human capital, referring to researchers, trainees and research leaders, require a sustained long-term approach.
The NIMR Foundation was established to support research and address Nigeria's health priorities, had in a 4-year impact report covering 2021 to 2025, had mobilized 502 million naira through donations and seed funding from NIMR. Julie Ekong, Radio Nigeria.
To safeguard lives and property on the highways during the Yuletide, the Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, has embarked on a free medical test to ascertain the health status of commercial drivers. At the Nanya Babanagode Park, Abuja, the FCT Sector Commander of FRSC, Mr. Felix Thiemann, said the outreach was to further sensitize drivers on the need to always take care of their health. He said the Corps had activated all the roadside clinics and zebra crossing points with officers to attend to emergencies. According to him, officers and men have been mobilized with adequate logistics to all identify flashpoints to ensure free flow of traffic and prompt rescue operations.
the volume of travel that we experience and the volume of traffic that we also experience on our road. So we feel it's important that we not just focus on the violations that offenders, that drivers normally commit. We're not only going to emphasize only in public education on what they need to do as far as driving is concerned. We feel it's also important that we look at the health of the driver. If you look at our team, they say healthy drivers and safer roads. So we are collaborating with some hospitals in Abuja.
Some medical team members, led by Isioma Aresuku, said their organizations collaborated with the FISC to give back to the society.
We're also checking their height, their weight, to calculate their body mass index. Apart from that, doctors are seeing them. After seeing, doctors will prescribe medication for them. Then they go to the optometrist where they have free eye tests.
Why this health aspect is good is that we also want people to take good care of their health. When they are healthy, that they can also actually live well and also behave well.
The FRC Medical Outreach provides free eye test and glasses, blood sugar test, among others. Today, December 7, the global aviation community is marking International Civil Aviation Day, dedicated this year to the theme, Safe Skies, Sustainable Future. It is a moment to reflect on how aviation continues to connect nations and drive progress across the world. In this special report, correspondent Nosayo Aitwame tells us how the nation is contributing to safe skies and a sustainable future.
Here in Nigeria, the celebration comes just days after the country marked 100 years of civil aviation and a year after the world commemorated 80 years of the Chicago Convention, the historic agreement that shaped modern international flying. As air traffic continues to grow, Nigeria says it is working to expand capacity without compromising its strong safety record or its commitment to environmental responsibility. This includes ongoing modernization of airport terminals, upgrades to aviation infrastructure, and support for operators acquiring more aircraft to meet rising demand. According to the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Mr. Festus Keyamo, these improvements are not just about comfort or convenience. They are in line with global safety and security standards.
We are going to generate those policies and programs to ensure that you have access to the best, to not compromise safety and standards for the Nigerian people.
The country's aviation regulator, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, says strict enforcement of regulations remains the backbone of air safety. Director General Civil Aviation, Captain Chris Najamo, insists the NCAA maintains zero tolerance for non-compliance, pointing to sanctions on violators and the industry's low incident rates.
NCAA has undertaken a comprehensive review of the Nigerian Civil Aviation regulations. This updated framework provides global supervisions, ensuring that world-class standards and best practices are established.
Airline operators like Dr. Allen Onyema and Mr. George Uriesi also affirm that Nigeria's regulatory oversight has strengthened the industry.
When we talk about safety, all Nigerian airlines are safe because of the kind of oversight the NCAA brings upon us.
In managing the airspace itself, key systems, communication, navigation, and surveillance undergo routine flight checks every year to guarantee reliability. Air traffic professionals, Mr. Amos Edino and Mr. Sisley Miri, note that government has made significant investments in these technologies. On the regional front, the Banjul Accord Group Aviation Safety Oversight Organization, Bagasu, says efforts are underway to harmonize safety regulations across member states. Executive Director, Bagasu, Jaliza Rodrigo Silva, says this will boost states' capacity to meet international safety oversight requirements. As ICAO seeks a future where no country is left behind, Nigeria says it remains committed to strengthening global aviation and ensuring safe skies and a sustainable future for all. From Lagos, Nusa Aitwame, Radio Nigeria.
The over $80 million Euphoria 3 mega paper factory has been inaugurated in Nasarawa State. Inaugurating the project in Kefi local government area of the state, Governor Abdullahi Sule explained that the project was in line with the policy thrust of his administration toward industrializing the state. Correspondent Dahir Hassan completes the report.
Governor Abdullahi Suli, who was elated with sighting of the mega paper factory in the state, explained that it represents one of the cardinal objectives of his administration's anchored on an industrialization drive to create job opportunities and generate revenue. He called on residents in the area to take full ownership of the project as the greatest beneficiaries.
One of the biggest attractions as far as this project is concerned is the kind of technology that the project is bringing into Nasarawa State. The technology will give our own people the opportunity to learn.
The Gambian ambassador to Nigeria, Muhammad Bow Musa Fafa, while congratulating Nasarawa State for attracting such a magnificent project, however, acknowledged the foresight and commitment of Governor Abdullahi Sule that made the siting of the project in the state possible.
I want to say congratulations to the executive governor for choosing this beautiful project to be in your state.
On their part, Chairman Kokona Local Government Area Abahu Mek Abahu and the Emir of Kefi, Shehu Chindoya Musa, noted that the project is yet another collective journey for sustainable development of the area, Nasarawa State, and the country as a whole, pledging total support of the community to the actualization of the projects. The event was climaxed by groundbreaking of the edifice by Governor Abdullahi Sule in company of the Gambian ambassador to Nigeria, Muhammad Bow Musa Fafa, and other top government officials. In Lafia, Dahiru Hassan, Radio Nigeria.
Radio Nigeria, uplifting the people and uniting the nation.
Next is State House Diary.
Welcome to another edition of State House Diary, where we bring to you last week's happenings from the presidential villa. I am Hamza Al-Ghali. President Bola Tinubu swore in retired General Christopher Musa as a new Minister of Defense. The President administered the oath of office on Musa in his office at the State House, Abuja. The new Defense Minister's appointment came less than 48 hours after the resignation of his predecessor, Alhaji Badaru Abubakar. After his swearing in, General Musa told State House correspondent that he will ensure better synergy among the armed forces to tackle terrorism and all forms of insecurity in the country.
The synergy between the armed forces and other security agencies and all Nigerians being carried along, as we have always said, that security is everybody's responsibility. It is that synergy that we need to build on and work on it, and that's what we're going to. And I can assure you within the shortest possible time, Nigerians will see results.
Similarly, President Bola Tinubu demanded greater efficiency in strategies and results in the ongoing fight against insecurity in some parts of the country. The president gave the charge when he met with heads of intelligence agencies and service chiefs at the State House. After the meeting, which lasted more than an hour, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Olufemi Oluede, promised Nigerians that the security agencies are coordinating better to ensure that Nigerians celebrate the Yuletide in peace. In another development, the Federal Executive Council approved the 2026 to 2028 medium-term expenditure framework outlining revenue projections, fiscal assumptions, and spending priorities for the next 3 years. Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Alhaji Atiku Bagudu, briefed State House correspondents after the meeting presided over by President Bola Tinubu. He said the federal government expects to generate 34.3 trillion naira in revenue in 2026. The National Economic Council, NEC, approved 100 billion naira for the rehabilitation of training institutions belonging to the police and other security agencies nationwide. The decision followed recommendations presented by the NEC Ad Hoc Committee under the chairmanship of Enugu State Governor Peter Mba, assigned to assess the condition of security training facilities across the country.
The Council resolved, subject to consultation with the President, to approve the request of 100 billion naira for refurbishment of these training institutions across our country. The training institutions will be for the police and the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps facilities.
Vice President Kashim Shettima, who is also chairman of NEC, welcomed the recommendation of the committee and urged state governors to ensure that ongoing economic reforms translate into measurable improvement in the lives of citizens.
Our work today is a demonstration that governance is meaningful only when it improves the lives of the people. Our task is not to admire problems, but to solve them. It is not to explain challenges, but to overcome them. And it is not to hope for progress, but to engineer it with the tools available to us.
Vice President Kashim Shettima called on state governments, federal ministries, departments and agencies, the organized private sector, and other stakeholders to intensify efforts towards improving Nigeria's business environment. He made the call in Abuja at a gala and award night organized by the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council. The Vice President highlighted notable progress achieved through interagency cooperation, which is already improving business procedures in the country.
A standout example of this collaborative spirit is the establishment of the Ports and Customs Efficiency Committee, which is already bearing significant fruit through joint inspection procedures at our ports. This important synergy among all the agencies at the ports is the kind of reform that rapidly accelerates our economy.
Meanwhile, Vice President Kashim Shettima said Nigerian journalists remain the nation's frontline defense against authoritarian tendencies. He stated this at the 2025 conference and annual general meeting of the International Press Institute, Nigeria, in Abuja. He assured that the federal government remained committed to protecting journalists from harassment and intimidation.
One of the proudest moments for journalism in contemporary Nigeria has been the sincerity with which overwhelming majority of you continue to confront the rising tide of foreign information manipulation and interference. You have stood firmly against this information and refused to surrender your pens to falsehood of foreign puppeteers.
Vice President Kashim Shettima attended Imo State Economic Summit in Owerri during the week under review. During the summit, he described Imo State as a major pillar in Nigeria's economic diversification agenda, fully prepared for rapid growth in technology, gas utilization, and agro-industrial processing. That has been State House Diary, bringing you updates of developments from the presidential villa. I am Hamza Alkali.
Now on the side of sports, African representatives to next year's FIFA World Cup fix their gaze on group opponents as Nigeria Premier Football League gets to match day 16 today. Plus, Edo State begins preparations to host second edition of Nigeria Delta Sports Festival. Alambo Datoyi has details of this and more in this sports package.
Hello and welcome to sports. The 9 African countries that earned automatic tickets to the 2026 FIFA World Cup in Canada, Mexico, and USA from the continental qualifiers can now prepare for the competition after knowing their group opponents following the draws held on Friday night in Washington. Bafana Bafana of South Africa, who will play the opening match with Mexico in a repeat of the 2010 Mundial, which they hosted in a game that ended 1-1, are drawn in Group A alongside South Korea and the winner of one of the playoff contests in Europe. Morocco are in Group B and face a tough battle with Brazil, Scotland and Minos, Haiti, while Cote d'Ivoire are joined in Group E by 3-time champions Germany, Ecuador and Curaçao. Tunisia face Netherlands, Japan in Group F and the winner of the Intercontinental Playoff B, while Egypt are in Group G with Belgium, Iran and New Zealand. Debutants Cape Verde are lumped in Group H with 2010 winners Spain, 2-time champions Uruguay and Saudi Arabia, as Senegal rekindled their rivalry with 2-time champions France, Norway and the winner of the FIFA Playoff 2 in Group I. Algeria will have to contend with reigning champions Argentina, Austria and Jordan in Group J, as Ghana are in Group L with England, Croatia and Panama. Democratic Republic of Congo will face Portugal, Uzbekistan and Colombia if they win the FIFA Intercontinental Playoff in March in Mexico. 9 games will be played today in the Nigeria Premier Football League, which enters week 16. Champions Remo Stars play host to Enyimba in Abeokuta as El Kanemi Warriors clash with Barao FC in Maiduguri, with Kwara United confronting Niger Tornadoes. Rangers are up against Bayelsa United in Enugu. Wiki Tourists welcomed leaders Ikorodu City, while Abia Warriors challenge neighbors Rivers United. Kano Pillars battle Con Califat in Katsina and Plateau United engage Warri Wolves. Tomorrow, Katsina United entertain Bendel Insurance as joint leaders Nasarawa United test their might against Shooting Stars. Ikorodu City and Nasarawa United set the pace in the MPFL table with 27 points each, while Rivers United are third with a point behind and 2 games at hand. From the rear, Kano Pillars have 9 points, Plateau United are 19th with 15 points. After getting the nod to host the second edition of the Niger Delta Sports Festival, Edo State seems to have hit the ground running to stage the fiesta next year. To this end, officials of the project management team have concluded the first phase of physical inspection and evaluation of facilities for the event. Team lead of the project consultant, Dunamis Icon, Sir Etiako Epopo, expressed satisfaction with the sports infrastructure assets of the host, promising that the state would be supported to host a successful festival.
We have just unveiled Edo 2026. We've been speaking to our principal partners, the NEDC. Edo is a ready-made choice. We're expecting over 3,000 athletes. The approximate number of spectators, about 5,000. And so we need facilities that work for the games itself. And so we're going around the states. We have been to the iconic Ogbe Stadium. The Edo State government, so far, from what we see, has tried to maintain that facility. And so we're going around to look at facilities where we can use to get the best of our youngsters for the future. The structures you see, you know, is going to happen. We'll try to assist both the state government and the university in seeing how we can add value to their sporting facilities.
Executive Chairman of the Edo State Sports Commission, Desmond Enabulele, said Edo was ready to host the event with over 3,000 athletes, coaches, and technical officials.
Yes, Benin is ready to host the second edition of the Niger Delta Games. It's just that we are going to do some little touch on some facilities and some hostels to make events and the particular games that will be taking place in those venues top-notch.
The inspection tour began at the Amuludun Stadium after a brief meeting with Enabulele and the Sports Commission team at his office. Facilities inspected include the Amuludun Stadium's main bowl, the tartan track, the state box, the VIP lounges, and other key areas like the ceremonial room, the media, and other facilities. In the Premiership, Emiliano Buendia's added-time goal gave Aston Villa a sensational 2-1 win over leaders Arsenal on Saturday to throw the title race open as Unai Emery's side are third with 30 points, 3 behind the Gunners. At Etihad, Manchester City spanked Sunderland 3-0 to close the gap at the top to just a point, as Pep Guardiola's Chargers now have 32 points in second place. In other results, Bournemouth and Chelsea played a barren draw. Everton defeated Nottingham Forest 3-0. Newcastle pipped Burnley 2-1 as Tottenham were 2-0 victors over Brentford. In the late kickoff, Liverpool surrendered a 2-goal lead as they were forced to a 3-3 draw by Leeds United away at Elland Road in a seesaw 6-goal thriller. 2 matches are scheduled this afternoon, with Brighton battling West Ham and Fulham flexing muzzles with Crystal Palace in a London derby as bottom side Wolves await Manchester United tomorrow night. In Spain, second place Real Madrid with 36 points tackle Celta Vigo tonight. Last night, Barcelona opened up a 4-point lead after thrashing Real Betis 5-3, away with Ferran Torres scoring a hat-trick as Hansi Flick's men now have 40 points. I am Alam Datonye.
We now bring you the commentary, which is on connecting the National Social Safety Nets program with the real beneficiaries. It is written by Nehemiah Anini of our editorial unit.
Nigeria is a country that is full of talent, energy, and natural resources. Yet, millions of Nigerians are still struggling to meet their daily needs. Over the years, poverty has remained one of the major challenges that have touched almost every family. The federal government, through the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, has introduced several programs over the years to tackle poverty. Initiatives such as NPower, UWI, Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program (GEEP), Conditional Cash Transfer, and the Homegrown School Feeding Program were designed to empower citizens, create jobs, and support vulnerable households. However, despite the promises and billions of naira that have been invested in the program, the aim has not been achieved. The National Social Safety Nets program, in collaboration with the World Bank, was established to give direct financial support to the poorest and most vulnerable Nigerians. The aim was also to help families to cope with hardship, send their children to school, and build small businesses for sustainable income. But like many government programs, its impact has been limited by problems such as poor targeting, weak monitoring, and inconsistent funding. Many of the beneficiaries either do not receive the funds as expected or the funds are not enough to make meaningful difference in their lives. One of the major challenges is to identify the real beneficiaries of the program. In many cases, political influence and favoritism affect selection process. The National Social Safety Nets program and the National Social Investment Office should build a stronger and more transparent database that will capture the real poor and vulnerable households. This can be done by using digital identification systems, community verification, and cross-checking information from multiple sources. When the right people receive the benefits, the program will have a real impact. Another problem is that the payments are not regular and too small to lift the people out of poverty. For many families, 10,000 naira or even 20,000 naira every few months cannot cover the cost of daily feeding, school fees, or health care. The program needs to be reviewed so that the amount that is given should match with the current economic reality. Payments should also be made regularly through safe and traceable digital platforms like mobile money or bank transfers. This will reduce corruption and ensure that every naira reaches its rightful owner. In addition to cash transfers, the program should focus on helping beneficiaries by building a lasting source of income. Poverty is not only about lack of money, it is about lack of opportunities. The program should connect cash support with training in small business management, agriculture, and vocational skills. When this is carried out, the beneficiaries can use the knowledge gained to start small enterprises that will sustain them in the long run. As the saying goes, it is better to teach someone how to fish than keep giving them fish. Over the years, reports of mismanagement and diversion of funds have weakened public trust in government programs. Information about how much money is released, how it is distributed, and who receives it should be made available to the public. For the National Social Safety Nets to be sustainable, it must not rely on foreign loans or donor funding. The Nigerian government should commit to long-term financing from its budget and explore partnerships with private companies, development organizations, and state governments. Private sector collaboration through foundations, banks, and telecom companies can bring innovation, technology, and extra resources to keep the program running. If Nigeria can strengthen its national social safety nets, millions of families will have the safety rope of poverty reduction. The program has the potential to reduce poverty if it is properly managed, consistently funded, and linked with skills and job creation.
That commentary on connecting the National Social Safety Nets program with the real beneficiaries